Carlos is on.
Hey, Carlos, can you hear us?
Oh. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hi there.
Right. How you doing? Good. I'm not really the dunce chair, so. How you doing?
You are live. Okay, Jerry, we are live, so whenever you'd like to kick us off.
I now call the meeting of the Yelm City Planning Commission to order this day of Monday, July 19th, 2021, time 4 p.m. Could the staff take a roll call?
Yes. Lloyd Sheldon,
Here.
Carlos Perez,
Here.
Ann Warman,
Here.
John Thompson,
Here.
Bob Howard,
Here.
Jerry Fugate,
Here.
and John Graver did say he would be absent today, so he has an excused absence.
So we'll all stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States,
of the United
America.
to the republic,
Republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God, indivisible, with
with
liberty and justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. You have before you a copy of the agenda. And look it over, and then I would like a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I move we approve the agenda as printed.
Okay, second.
All second.
Okay, Howard seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Are you opposed or
3 second delay.
a 3 second? Okay. So the agenda is approved. Now you have somewhere a copy of the minutes.
We've got them on the screen. I did not print them out.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed and shown on the display screen.
I move that we approve the minutes of June 22nd, 21st.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Tom Howard seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion is approved. Okay, staff, do you have any public communications?
The only public comment I have received is from Mike Edwards. I believe he will be sharing his testimony in the public comment period or public hearing period.
Okay,
So we'll wait to hear from him.
okay, thank you. Any other?
No, that's it.
public hearing where we'll list on the agenda our going to be public hearing.
So I would like to just quickly go over the staff report one more time.
Sure.
There have been some small changes, and just to bring the public up to speed. So we are reviewing updates to our Unified Development Code, which will go into effect for 2022. The first request was to allow drive-through establishments in the Central Business District zone. Currently, our code prohibits them, and the Planning Commission has come to the conclusion that non-food drive-through establishments should be allowed in the Central Business District where drive-through traffic exits onto a street other than 510 or 507. The next request was to increase density allowance in the commercial zones. This includes the C1 and the heavy commercial and the large lot commercial zones. The Planning Commission has come to the recommendation that in the commercial zones, apartments should be allowed at a density of up to 32 units. It was previously 16 units per acre as part of a mixed-use development, and the residential component should represent no more than 66.6% of the overall development. The previous number was a maximum of 60%. Our recommendation also states that the mixed-use development should require 30% of the commercial component be constructed prior to the completion of the residential component, and for the other 70% or less of the commercial component, adequate infrastructure should be in place to serve the full commercial component built out. The next request was to allow chain link fencing. Currently, chain link fencing is prohibited except for temporary purposes such as a construction site or when state law mandates it, such as something like a Homeland Security building. Planning Commission recommendation is that when chain link fencing is directly adjacent to a street, a dense landscape screen is required. When chain link fencing is visible from a public right-of-way, perimeter landscaping is required between the fence and property line. The consensus has been updated since our last meeting to state that perimeter landscaping requirements may be modified or waived if city staff finds that distance between fencing and public right-of-way would make required landscaping unnecessary or ineffective. Does this recommendation accurately reflect our discussions?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the only change from the previous staff report, but I'll go through the rest of it. One request was to review the design standards for RV and mini storage. Currently, mini and RV storage are allowed in the C2 and C3 zones, but they must be located 500 feet or more from an urban arterial. Planning Commission recommendation is that there should be no change to the existing regulation, but the Planning Commission does understand that in the next year, we will be starting an update to our transportation systems plan, which would probably change which streets are classified as urban arterials. And so the standards for placement of mini and RV storage would change at that time, and it would be appropriate to revisit the standard at that time. The next request was to consider fee waivers for nonprofit housing. The Planning Commission recommends no change to existing regulations. And the Planning Commission also understands that our current fee schedule allows permit fee waivers for nonprofit organizations that are registered with the state of Washington. And Planning Commission does look favorably to provide for other fee waivers. This would be reviewed for financial and staff impact by the Finance Department and/or Finance Committee. And the Planning Commission believes this would be best supported by a housing needs analysis. And I believe our final request is to review regulations for tiny homes and alternative housing in the city of Yelm. Currently, our code does not prohibit tiny homes as there's no minimum lot or housing size. but our zones do not technically allow for long-term mini housing. RV parks are allowed in the C2 and C3 zone, but they are only allowed for 30 days or less. Planning Commission recommends that our code be updated to incorporate the International Residential Code Appendix Q, which covers tiny homes. And they also are requesting that City Council initiate a housing action plan to determine housing needs and develop an action plan to accommodate alternate housing types and locations in the city.
I have a question on that, Casey.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
On that, what is the progress of that? Is it going to require someone from the Planning Commission to visit the council to initiate that study for building, for
So
housing?
this will be included when we send our recommendations over to City Council. And so at that time, we would include it and they could then initiate that. Grant?
Okay, thank you.
Concur?
I would just add that at least one council member has seen the preliminary recommendations and has submitted a council request to fund this as part of the 2022 budget amendment process. So there's already interest in council and they're moving forward with it independently of your recommendation.
We have a hand up from Deb Larson in the attendees. Do you guys want to do that now? Or is there a different time period you'd want this?
Well, I think it's, right now we're doing the review.
You raised it during the review, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're in the review and then I will open the public hearing portion.
Perfect. Okay, so Deb, I will unmute you again in just a second.
Okay. And those were our proposed Unified Development Code updates. We now have 2 rezones. The first rezone was a request from a private citizen to rezone 2 acres seen here between Mountain View and Killian. They're currently zoned C1, and the request is to rezone them to R6, moderate density residential. And the property owner to the east, the owner of these 2 parcels, has asked to be included in the rezone. Planning Commission has found that they support the rezone of all 4 parcels from C1 to moderate density residential R6. And our last item is the industrial rezone. We had a request from the property owner shown here on the screen with the little red lines just east of NP Road. They requested to rezone from industrial to moderate density residential. And the city has requested that Planning Commission look at rezoning all of these properties on the east side of NP that are zoned industrial. Planning Commission has found that they support all of these properties being rezoned from industrial to moderate density residential. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you. I now will open the public hearing for Monday, July 19th, 2021 at 4:13. We are in the Yelm City Planning Hall, City Hall. Okay, purposes today's meeting is to get public comments relative to the updates to the 2021 Unified Development Code and associated materials that were presented by the staff report. Do any of the commission members have questions of staff?
I have no questions.
Okay, now we will take public testimony. And as you step to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Okay. First up, do you have a schedule of them speaking?
I don't have a schedule. I'll also add to this, we do have people attending virtually. And if you are attending virtually and would like to share testimony, please raise your hand and we will call on you and allow you to unmute and speak. And I just need you to say your name and spell it. We have a sign-in sheet for those who have come in person, but we do need your name for the record.
Okay, now we did have one person you were going to put on first, I believe.
Yes, Deb, oh, okay, so we have Deborah Larson first.
Okay,
And Susie, and then Cody.
so if we will start with them.
Hello, I'm Deborah Larson. My name is spelled Debra, last name Larson, Larson. And I'm director of the Love Abounds Here charity that works with the homeless here in Yelm. And I just wanted to provide the commission with our support for looking at the tiny houses as possible solutions for future development that would fit the needs of the homeless population. Because we currently have about 60 homeless people in our area that we counted in January when we did the point in time survey for the county. And we know that they all are unhoused and need to have some kind of dwelling, but you know, obviously it needs to be economical for us to do that development. And we've applied for some grant money and would like to be applying for some more. And I'm very excited and happy to support you in providing for some tiny housing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Would you be okay if we did one virtual, one in person,
Sounds
virtual
good.
back and forth?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
Right over there. Please state your name and address for that.
My name's Alan Hatcher. I live on 16639 Canal. So there's maybe 100 acres behind my house. An abandoned house next to me. I just heard that the property was sold. The new owner is planning on putting in storage and a few houses. I know water's a big issue in Yelm. I'm on a private well. Don't know how the water issue comes into play when they build more houses as well as more apartment buildings. I've heard from several people in Yelm that the water is just astronomical here already. There isn't enough to go around. I don't have a problem with RV houses fixing up the abandoned house next to my property. Tiny house is another issue. I moved out of Seattle because of the homeless problem. Tiny houses does not solve the homeless problem. Helps a few people. Doesn't keep the drugs and alcohol away from neighborhoods. Actually creates more of a problem. I know there's several people that will disagree with that. If you haven't lived in a place where they put in, 50 little teeny homes and people are coming and going all the time, even though they have security at the front gate, downgrades a neighborhood really quick. I've only lived in Yelm for 7 years. I love this community. The issue with building and opening up our community to more homeless people, even though tiny houses are supposed to create a place for homeless people to live, not to just stay, that's not a permanent solution. So I am opposed to the tiny house. Anything else that's been brought up? The only other issue is the water issue. I realize we have 2 water towers here. I'm on my own private well. I don't think anybody can tap into my well. She's the neighbor that bought the property. I think she said she's going to put in a few houses on 5-acre parcels and then build a storage facility. Canal Road is in between the city limits where I live. They just put in the wrecking yard on Northern Pacific, and the big trucks coming up and down Canal are destroying that road really quick. I don't think the public's work is even aware of how fast that road is being destroyed. And I've heard a lot of people say they come around the corners and there's potholes the size of Volkswagens in some of those places. I don't know how you go about getting that stuff fixed, especially if we're not in the city limits. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Next, I allowed her to talk. It's Susie Lefergie.
Yes, thank you very much, members of the Planning Commission, for having this public hearing today. My name is Susie, S-U-Z-I-E, Lefergie, capital L-E, capital F-U-R-G-E-Y. I reside at 17621 Valley Lane Southeast, Yelm. And I am the founder of Love Abounds here. I'm very happy today to see that you are recommending to the City Council that a study be made of our housing needs in Yelm. I do know that all three, Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey, have these studies. These studies have been made, and are pleased to see that they have can set an example for us to move forward and really think closely about the needs of housing in our city. Yes, Deb said that earlier that we serve the homeless community, and we do, and we also serve lower income people in the community. In fact, we have a collaboration with the city of Yelm through the Homelessness Task Force right now to provide a community resource fair every month at the community center to take care of all a vast realm of needs that people have. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that our organization is working diligently to explore all types of options for tiny homes, and believe that if we can get to the point, I'll tell you one quick thing. In February of 2018, I began attending city council meetings regularly, urging them to form a task force. And I think that the task force has done a good job in moving this issue forward. But my main point from the very beginning is that when you have 60+ people in any size area, like we have in Yelm, that are not warm in the winter, it's a travesty. So that is our main purpose, is to just make sure that people are not out freezing in the cold, and that we don't have to take people to emergency rooms during the cold for hypothermia. Thank you very much for considering what I had to say today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us. Could I have the next person?
We're just listening.
Oh, you're just listening. Well, next up, there you go.
Okay, well, I'm Ashley, and this is my husband, Richard. We're here today because we're in the process of purchasing my grandma, Shirley Clausen's property at 16314 Railway Road. And so we just wanted to share that we've been interested in this property, purchasing it from my grandparents for some time, and we've worked with Tammy, the previous city planner, in the past, and learned a lot about the restrictions of the current zoning, which is industrial. And so we were really happy to hear about the rezoning through a recording that we listened to of one of your guys' meetings a couple months ago. We just think that given the growing city of Yelm, it's a really good thing for the city. And so we're here to state our support since my grandma couldn't be here today, and since we are in the process of purchasing it.
I don't think we got your last name.
Oh, okay. My last name is Atkins Mackey, and my husband's is Mackey.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Cody Hutchison.
Hi there. I own 16330 Railway Road, and I just wanted to do the same thing as Miss Shirley's family pretty much and just advocate for the rezone of the light industrial area to residential. We're actually really excited about it. So yay.
Okay, so our next person up.
I'm just attending, but thank you.
Likewise.
Okay, and whether you're all there, so I guess we'll all go here.
Okay, next online, we've got Mike Edwards.
Okay.
Mike, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Gotcha. Just a minute. I'll get.
Okay, we just had you and then you remuted. If you're on a computer, you should be able to hold the space bar and that will keep you unmuted.
How are we doing now?
Doing great.
We're aboard?
We can hear you.
I can see your smiling faces, but I guess you can't see mine. For the record, I'm Mike Edwards. I reside in Seattle at 6535 Seaview Avenue Northwest. Currently, I'm a Pioneer family member out of Yelm. I graduated from Yelm High School, and I've had several projects in Yelm, one of which we'll be talking about today. I had the bank in Yelm, Prairie Security Bank. I formed it with a group of Yelm people a number of years ago. And then I have developed the, where the medical clinic is, the Yelm Medical Clinic, and Olympia Savings and Loan, First Federal. So, and also Rosemont, which is a 85 unit assisted care center. In and near those properties are the currently 20 acres that we're talking about today on zoning. And I've got we had a meeting, the last meeting that I attended with the committee was on February 18th, I believe, somewhere in that area this year. And at that time, we talked about the need that the demographics for retail and big box stores have shifted dramatically. And they're even before the advent of COVID-19, due to the advent of e-commerce. And the board and everybody was in agreement. Yes, we've definitely had a shift in the demographics on commercial property. The 20 acres we're talking about today is zoned currently commercial C1. Did I hear Casey? Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So it's currently zoned C1. And the last meeting we had, we were going to look at doing the rezone to an R6. Now, just north of our property, the 20 acres is a property of another 20 acres zoned R6. And I think they've already commenced to do some dirt work out there for, I believe, around 160, 180 units residential. The situation, of course, now with Yelm, I think is a couple of things that we want to consider. The discussion we had was for R6, which we're familiar with the densities on that, being the same as they are north of us. Yelm has a couple of goals, I would think. Casey, were you able to get out a copy of my bullet points?
I did receive your email, Mike, with your points, and after the meeting today, I will be sending that to the commission members. So the commissioners, you will have his thoughts in writing as well.
Okay, all right, I'll go through them briefly. I think what we're looking at now in a request for the R16 designation rather than the R6 was driven in by several factors. One is we've had a couple of approaches for the usage being in the R16 category, certainly not in the commercial. And additionally, things of importance, I think, to the city of Yelm that you might want to consider is the greater density allows for the density of apartments, which provides a greater real estate base, and at the same time provides for a B&O tax revenue and opportunity on rents where single families do not. So bringing it in to promote, as we're looking at, for the use of apartments, again, is an additional enhancement for revenue base for the city going forward. So another point is it allows for a mix of residential types, which increases the ability to provide for a greater number of affordable housing units within the immediacy of commercial services and the medical care. And I know that's been a goal in design, and even some of the comments by public here today are addressing the need for affordable housing. And so you'll have a greater amount of opportunity to provide affordable housing within the higher density units than you would otherwise. Also, an R16 would provide for greater use of water and sewer capacities of existing plant infrastructure to incorporate better economies of scale, allowing for reduced individual billings. One of the contentions, of course, you experienced all the time is the residents and users of services within Yelm and those industrial services are impacted disproportionately compared to other users in cities because we have a few number of users on some very expensive infrastructure that's required to handle the flow and capacity. But we haven't got enough people to share those expenses. So we want to get a greater economy of scale incorporated in by having greater number of users. Now, one thing that occurred between when we met last and now was that the staff went forward to determine whether we could take the capacity within the water use and the sewer use in the form of R6 and handle that. And they went through their engineering process to determine where they were with that. And I believe they've reported to you uniformly that they have adequacy in water and sewer services. Also, since that time, my understanding is they've looked at the higher usage of R16 in those categories. And I believe you will find staff will report to you that on sewer and water, we do have capacity within Yelm if we go up to the higher density units. So that I think that bridge has been crossed. Staff will report to you and probably have a discussion on that. The sewer capacities of plant and infrastructure, that when we incorporate better economies of scale, I think we'll get a lot better satisfaction for the users of the services within Yelm. It also provides for a greater number of rooftops, quote, rooftops, which are essential for attracting development of commercial and medical and retail services to the city. So right within an area where we have commercial zoning on our property, that 8 acres in front on Yelm Avenue, which is commercial, remaining C1, you'll have walking distance for these greater densities of apartments and utilization of services, but in the immediacy of good services, in fact, in walking distances. And I think that's a major goal that the city has expressed over time. So I think with the factors of what it brings, let alone anything that I might want for utilization or view and perceive as a commercial opportunity for development, logical development, I think the cities, these are issues that the city might want to take into consideration as you look at the possibility of a R16. Now, I have had, this is my second opportunity to talk with you. I've not talked with you since the February meeting, and a lot of the staff has gone through to make research to bring these proposals forward. So you will want to probably discuss with staff both the water issue, the sewer issue, but both of those have been addressed by staff and your engineering and your public services. So I think I'll leave that to staff and Casey to make a follow-up comment of where they are on that, so you know where you're at with that. But R16 provides a greater opportunity within today's needs within the marketplace. It will bring up the development within Yelm quicker, faster, provide economies of scale where you don't have them now, and will give an opportunity for services within walking distance in a collective area. So right within our area and the projects that I've been involved with is the medical center at 32,000 square foot medical center at the intersection of Yelm Avenue and Killian, and the assisted care center, Rosemont, with 85 units, and the bank, and then the commercial that we're working on in the front. So I think you'll find, if you look at this, as you look at this, I realize it's a shift since we've talked last, but remember, I haven't had the ability to bring this discussion to you until this second meeting. And I don't believe we have to take the final action until the end of the year on the comprehensive overall plan. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council members might, or the committee members might have. And Casey, I don't know whether you want to follow with any comments on utilities at this point or not.
Thank you.
And just to add, if you go onto the YouTube and you want to better hear what he said, our YouTube doesn't have that weird scratch sound. So if you listen back.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, so the YouTube, you can hear it a lot better.
Yeah. In fact, that's probably the nicest thing I could say about it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
And if you got hearing aids like some of us have here.
Yes. I saw Carlos.
Yeah, okay.
I will also be sending his thoughts via email that he sent to me.
Okay. Is there any other public comments?
Nothing that I have received.
Okay. Do any of the commission members have questions relative to this matter? Ann, do you have any?
None for me. Thank you.
Carlos?
Yeah.
Floyd?
No, I don't have any.
No.
No questions. I have no questions.
Again, I'd like to thank the council for taking your deliberation and consideration. It's quite a challenge with the growth of the Yelm, as it's been for the last number of years, and I think we're just on the front end of it, quite frankly. You've got your job cut out ahead of you. Thank you.
I appreciate you all coming in today. This is our town, and we care about it, and it's showing you care about it. We may not all have the same opinions. It's how we build a better city, is by sharing our concerns. And I really appreciate all of you coming in to kind of lend your opinion so we can make the right decisions. At this time, since there are no further questions, I will close this hearing at 4:39 p.m. Thank you. One of the things that I do a lot of testimony down in the Capitol for veterans is that they limit the amount of time you can talk. And it's about 3 minutes. Because after 3 minutes, I could look at all the senators or representatives and they're all not paying attention to what is being said. So we need to do that. They have little lights down there, go green, yellow, red. And I think it would make it, because most of the time you can say everything you want to say or need to say in 3 minutes.
That's a great recommendation. I'll make some signs for next time.
Yeah. Yeah. I was seeing one bill, that guy got in and the senator kept on saying, you'd be glad you're over your time. And this guy said, if you would be quiet, I could finish saying what I wanted to say. It killed the bill right then. And so I talked to the guy and said, don't ever do that. Next year's this last session, they finally passed the bill he wanted to get for veterans. But he didn't talk either. So yeah, that would help a lot.
Jerry, I have one thing to add.
Yes, go ahead, Ann.
It's okay. I want to really say I very much appreciate the folks coming in, like Deborah Larson and Susie Lefergie, as well as the folks that are really concerned about the homeless and have studied it and are trying to work that issue. In addition to the other folks that live on Railway coming in to give us their perspective. Because I live on Railway, so I have my own view, but it's not the same section of Railway that they're looking at. So it's I really appreciate this, seeing that there's some folks out there that are very interested and intent on doing some of the right things to help people and to help make the town better.
Thank you very much, Ann.
You're here.
Yep. So now we have our subcommittee reports. And Ann, do you have one on the parks?
Well, I can tell you that there's a lot of work going on in the various parks at this point. There's work going on in Cochrane Park. They're rebuilding the ponds there, and you may have seen that. And that work is going to continue through this summer. And there's still, people really appreciate that park very much. And it's now going to have its own bathroom, a park restroom out there. And in terms of the city park, there's something going on every weekend. As you may have seen, the Mermaid, there was the Mermaid event this last weekend. And there's going to be barbecue in the park. And then there's next is jazz in the park. So just keep a watch on, there's some signs out around town about what's happening in the major parks, but I can tell you there's a lot of people that are using the city park and the children's and play areas and the splash park during the day, and then major events on the weekends there. So it's the right things that are happening.
Thank you very much, Ann, for all your hard work that you're doing with your committee and making our parks a place that people can enjoy and share with their families.
Right.
Any other committee reports or staff reports? Yeah.
I do have one more thing to say if we're done with subcommittee reports. First of all, big thank you to Tammy Merriman, who put together the staff report that she worked really hard on. I do not want to take credit for it. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you all very much for taking the time to be here. And the last point I have for commission members is I would like to know going forward if you all would like to continue hybrid meetings or do fully virtual Zoom meetings.
I like to see people. I do a lot of Zoom meetings, but I like this option. Just get better sound system, that's all.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, just so you know, that's the sound system we're working with. So
Okay.
we might just have some people we can't hear.
I concur for hybrid.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I could have just a minute or so to respond back. I forget the gentleman's name that mentioned about road repairs in the outside of the city limits or close to the city limits. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we recently had made some significant repairs at the intersection of Canal and Railway.
Yeah.
That section is outside of the city limits in Thurston County. But the repairs were done by the city of Yelm's on-call street repairs contract. And that came about by, I reached out to the county asking him if there was a way that we could make these repairs and seek some kind of reimbursement if they were doing that, and discovered that there was an unutilized interlocal agreement to do just that. And so those repairs, again, were made by a city contract reimbursed by Thurston County. So that we do have the ability to make those repairs if there are some that you're concerned with, if you can bring them up to public services attention through the portal link, or even send them my way. I manage the on-call street contract, so there possibly could be a mechanism that's how they would get addressed.
I'd like to say that those repairs on Canal at the intersection with Railway have been wonderful. They've made a big difference. As I go, that's my main intersection that I go through. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, when I was, I stopped there 2 or 3 times to take pictures of the results and monitor it. And I got several hunks and thumbs up when I was out there. So I knew it was making a big impact. So it made me feel good.
But back on the meeting structure in terms of Zoom versus in person, I'm unfortunately not going to be able to attend in person for 3 months. I'm going to have surgery on Saturday, this coming Saturday, and I will not be able to, I might not even be able to make it on Zoom, but I could come in on Zoom, but no telling what type of, if my brain is still going to be there in the process. But it's spine surgery, so I'm not going to be able to walk and get out of the house for a while. So it's a big deal.
I think our feeling is the hybrid model is the route to go. So I will assume that is the consensus of the commission, that we go with a hybrid model. Is there any people opposed to that? There you go. Nobody opposed. Then I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a quick point of order. Now that the Planning Commission has closed the hearing, you actually can and probably should take some sort of action on the amendments to the UDC and comp plan. And if that's adopting them as presented, I would recommend that you go ahead and take that action today if you feel that was supported. If it is to take another look at the property off of Killian Road, I think Casey's prepared to speak to this, but we would need probably additional time if the Planning Commission is entertaining that to verify that the infrastructure in place on the sewer side will support that additional density. We did not do that work previously because the request was for R6. So with that, you know, I think what we'd like to do is whichever direction you choose, get these in front of City Council as soon as possible so we can move forward.
Okay. John, you were going to.
Well, I would say based on the input that we received from persons and everything else, that we send forward the document as it has been written to City Council.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Carlos has raised
Okay.
his hand.
The only thing I would like to clarify, Michael Edwards, who we couldn't hear very well, he requested to change his rezone. He was the C1 to R6 and he requested C1 to R16.
Yeah.
So you could take additional time or you can just motion, send it as forward.
Yes, I'd like to speak to that a little bit. I completely agree with the moving this into the direction of more residents and higher density. But I still have reservations about this change that might not affect or might affect our infrastructure, particularly the water and the sewage. So I would rather see us take a little more time. I want to do this. I really want to. I think this is where we're going. We're going toward more of a bedroom community. But I want to ensure that we have the capacity, the infrastructure to support that.
And
If we need to do the analysis on the sewer, I believe we've already done it on the water. With the new well, we do have the water there. But if we need to do it on the sewer, then can we say we recommend to put these things forward with the analysis of the sewer for the R16 so that could be done as we're moving forward? Is that feasible? Is that something that's, I don't know if that's something that can be done.
I'll defer this to Grant.
Yeah, if you wanted to amend the motion to recommend approval of the packet as presented, with the exception of the R C1 to R16, with the condition that the subsequent analysis provides sufficient evidence that the system will support that, I think that's fine, and we can make sure that gets.
Thank you, Grant.
The City Council.
so there is the motion has been amended for.
I think we have to then make a motion that we amend that.
Okay, I think
Motion is on the floor.
Okay,
We're in discussion now, so we would have to then.
okay. So are you making that motion, and as Grant stated?
I'll let Carlos make it. I'm willing to second it.
Actually,
All right,
the quickest
I
way.
move.
Excuse me.
Okay,
the
go ahead, Matt.
Point of order. The easiest thing is for if Mr. Thompson agrees with the amendment, just to amend his original motion.
I agree with making the amendment.
Okay.
And the second would then agree as well.
Okay.
Yes, I very
Okay.
much.
Okay, been moved and seconded for that amendment to the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion carried. Now, motion to send the amended Unified Development Code and changes to the zoning to the Yelm City Council. Please say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion carried. So, let's go forward. So, now, I would entertain a motion maybe that we adjourn.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
One more.
Wait.
What a party pooper.
I'm so sorry. No, this will be a good one. I just wanted to let you know that this is my last planning commission meeting. I'll be leaving it 2 weeks from now, and it is my absolute pleasure to report to you that for the first time since I announced my retirement, I feel 100% comfortable with the decision. And you've seen the class and professionalism that Casey Mock presents and moves forward with. I think we've got two more people coming on that will work with her to extend the legacy that this planning commission and previous commissions have established for Yelm. And Ann mentioned some of those in her parks update, but it's just been an absolute pleasure to work with you guys over the years. And nothing happens quickly. Things don't drop out of the sky, but looking at the community now and from when I started in 2002, I'm just absolutely proud to have been part of it and helped you all create that vision of the community and implement it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Grant.
And I'm looking forward to you working with Landon and Sarah, and of course Casey, continuing on. I have full confidence that they're going to excel. So thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
And we're going to miss you.
We want to help you celebrate, but I think I'm going to be under the knife real soon, so I'm not going to get to.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for. I'm part of my retirement plan is showing up at Olympia City Council meetings and testifying. So don't make me come back.
So we've been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I have a tendency of liking meetings to last no more than an hour, because if it lasts more than an hour, you're wasting my time and wasting your time. Thank you so much for coming.